So any president, whether it's Goodluck Jonathan or any
For 2 hours, Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan fielded questions.
as long
The
as
media chart followed another attack by Boko Haram in Yobe State that left almost 50 students dead. It's heartbreaking for Jonathan, and he traced the activities of Boko Haram, pointing out that the group's excesses were allowed to grow unchecked for many years. He said he's not got to know when and where Boko Haram will strike, but promised to do all that is humanly possible to protect Nigerians.
I'm happy that a point that he pointed out very clearly was that the Boko Haram did not begin with his regime. It began much before his regime. It began with the death of Mohammed Yusuf, much before his own tenure. The government is doing its very best to curtail the Boko Haram threat, but Nigerians must also know that it's a general problem. We must all work with government, provide information about their modus operandi, about how they operate, so we can be able to stop and stem this violence. And to keep appealing to our youths not to join such sects, because really terror is now a global problem, not just Nigeria, it's across the world.
May not be God to some people, but to the Nigerian nation, President Goodluck Jonathan is the God that they see practically, or the person that they see representing God practically on us, because their fate is squarely in his hands, and their security of lives and property is directly his responsibility. That is why he is Mr. President. If he's an ordinary man like Buba Galadima, nobody would ever query what he says. The buck must stop on his table. Mr. President and his security agencies have not done very well. They have not done enough to address the security situation. They have clamped down state of emergency on the states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. It seems nothing is working.
The president also spoke on the lingering university lecturers' strike. He said government has shown commitment to the lecturers' demand, but the strike seems to be politically motivated.
The point the president made about the state universities also joining the strike, what is their own grouse? So I hope that politicians have not going to influence them, and they must be mindful, they must be very careful.
I don't believe that saying that it is politically motivated is an answer to the problem.
What do you think is the answer to the problem?
The answer to the problem is the president and his team facing this issue squarely and addressing them to the satisfaction of Nigerians. That we want this issue resolved, we want our children to go back to school, to have sound education under a serene, conducive atmosphere with proper facilities in our laboratories, in our classrooms.
The president may have disappointed a few with his responses when he refused to commit himself on if he would contest in 2015. He denied signing any agreement with anybody on the issue.
I think it is the president that is dodging the issue, because the president knows the truth. He knows the truth. The truth is that President Goodluck Jonathan cannot be in office as president for 1 hour more than 8 years in office. That is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is the judgment of the Supreme Court of Nigeria that interpreted the Constitution in Boni Haruna versus INEC, in General Buba Marwa versus 5 governors, and in Ngige and Ladoja's case. He knows that you cannot have 1 hour as a governor in office more than 8 years. But the Constitution envisages, and the Supreme Court said so, that you can be in office for less than 8 years. And the issue is that the Nigerian Constitution does not recognize fractional tenure. So the president is just wise by half. We are just watching him. He will rob himself. Of course, he made a statement in the US, which has been televised all over the world. On when he was interviewed by Christopher Amampur, he himself have said in that interview that the Nigerian Constitution envisages somebody to be in office for only 8 years, 4 years times 2. He said so. When he was even re-examined, he made that statement. He should stand by that as a statesman and just pack his luggage and leave the State House by 2015. But what I want to say is that the president should also recognize that he is no more Goodluck Jonathan. He is Mr. President, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He is a public figure. All his life must be public. And we as Nigerian citizens have the right to inquire and ask him questions. And he's under obligation under the Constitution, especially the Information Act, to give us any correct situation of things in our country.
Nigerians must not be led by the nose, by people who don't know what they're doing. Any person who, the answers were very clear, because if you begin to say you want to contest so early, you overheat the polity.
On the streets, the presidential media chart generated passionate reactions.
And this man has made it emphatically clear that if you said I signed an agreement with you, produce the document, publish it for us to hear. And as for me, I am seeing it that for anybody to stand up and say that this man will not contest, you are not doing the right thing, because constitutionally he has the right to contest.
You think the president spoke well?
He spoke well. People wanted him to declare. He said no, he cannot declare now. That people should fight about the presidency. Himself as a person, he had not declared, but he cited something about 7 years. 7 years, that is 7 year term, that is single term. Now if you are allowed, you can do that. But then, people are fighting over presidency. Whereas, many of them fighting over nothing. The president himself has not declared. They have not declared. Why are they fighting over the declaration of the president himself?
On Nigeria's economy, the president insisted that the country is not bankrupt, but admitted that influential Nigerians are behind oil theft in the country. He promised to improve on power generation in the country, but there were those who think Jonathan might have been too simplistic on the issue of corruption. The presidential media chart is a quarterly platform for the president to interface with the people, and Sunday's chart saw the president responding to questions coming in